Hey guys, it's DaNelle
and Kevin
with Weed 'em and Reap, and today we're going to share 10 things that they don't tell you about homesteading. So the first thing we're going to tell you is that nobody knows what they're doing. Like, nobody's the expert.
That's true.
So, I mean, you may see people out there that have Instagram pictures that are gorgeous and all that stuff, but really, we all don't know what we're doing. We're all just trying to do our best.
Yeah, you go over to your friend's house and they are the expert in pigs or something, and well, you think they are, and then you go over there and then they ask you some questions about them.
Yeah.
And then so that's just how it goes.
Yeah, so don't feel pressure. You don't have to be perfect. We're all trying. All right, guys, the next one is that projects are endless. They are endless, okay? So we just finished the shed. Projects are just constantly what's going on. So you just have to enjoy it, you know, enjoy the process.
And just because the shed was going, we had other ones going on at the same time. She has like 5 others going on at the same time.
Always. Yep, it's how it is. Okay guys, the next one is the weather. Suddenly, that's all you care about is the weather.
Yeah.
And so you really have to be like that old person that cares about every day's weather to be able to make sure that everything's taken care of and your animals aren't gonna die and your plants aren't gonna die.
Have a little app in your phone when it's gonna be an extreme heat or an extreme cold. You gotta go out and cover your stuff.
So they don't really tell you that all of a sudden now you have to care about the weather, but now you do. You're an official weather person. The next one is that you need to plant your fruit trees like yesterday, because that was one of the biggest regrets we had, was that we didn't plant our trees right when we got to this
like
place.
5 or 6 years we waited. Yeah,
we waited way too long, and so we've kind of paid for it. We don't really get to enjoy our fruit yet, even though we have all this other stuff going on. We've got to wait another 5 years before we're gonna really be producing fruit. So if I can give the best advice, just start planting fruit trees. Look up what's gonna grow best in your area.
Yeah, they're the easiest thing, trees, because you don't have to do much like gardening. You just irrigation or whatever water, you're done.
Yeah, if you can plant trees that are, you know, relatively native to your area, you're not gonna have any problems, and you can just start getting get that growth in those trees, get them mature as soon as possible. Okay guys, the next one is that chickens are literally the easiest animal to raise. And so if you have a homestead, that's gonna be the least of your worries.
Start out with that.
Yeah, for sure.
It's the easiest.
Do you remember when I first bought chickens home and you didn't want me to?
Yeah.
But I brought them home anyway. Yeah, remember that? It's because they are easy. We hardly had to do anything, right? It's like food and water. They have a lot of instincts for them to lay eggs and for them to go into their coop when they need to, so you really don't have to worry about it too much. So definitely start with chickens.
A good starter with your spouse to introduce them and convince them, because it's not a pet, you just
if you have somebody like Kevin who didn't really want animals that much and needed some convincing, the chickens were the easiest thing. The next thing on the list is fencing. And we learned this the hard way. We were like, oh, fencing, we'll just take some pallets and throw up some baling wire, and if it's crappy fencing, it's gonna be crappy fencing. And so you've got to definitely invest some time, not necessarily a ton of money, but just some time in building a really sturdy fence, because that thing is gonna come back to haunt you.
Decide what kind of fencing you want. If you are gonna be moving stuff around and changing things up, do T-posts and
that's true.
Do panels like our friend Bobby does, and you just move stuff around, use carabiners, and then you can change things whenever you want.
Why are we in our freezer? Well, it's because it's really hot, but also because we wanted to share with you that raising meat is actually not as hard as you think it is. When we first started, we were a little bit nervous to butcher our own animals and do stuff like that, but now it's not really that difficult. People always think it's really hard and they're your pets, but when you're raising them for that purpose, I don't know, it's not really that hard.
The lamb is a little scary at first. It's a big animal, probably 120, 150 pounds. But it's not too bad. So if you start with chickens, it's a lot better. You can watch DaNelle's video that she did that's really good on that. Yeah, and I would say like raising your own meat actually makes you really appreciate it more and use it less. Like, we really use it a lot less because we're like, oh gosh, we don't want to use all of our meat, because we know all the hard work that was put into raising them.
Okay, so the next one is that milking an animal is an art. I remember when I first started milking, I was like, what is this witchcraft? Like, who knows how to milk? How come this is so impossible? And it's really because it takes a lot of work to get your muscles to be able to squeeze in that position.
So you can start out with a really easy Nigerian to milk, so you get it down well.
The next one is that gardening is one of the most rewarding things, but it's also one of the hardest, because it really takes a lot of patience and experience over time. So while a lot of homesteaders really run to like getting animals on their property, if you can start with gardening, that's really one of the best things you could do. Get really good about growing the basics, and then you'll just get better and better as it goes on.
Yeah, it is a lot of work. She does most of it, so I can't complain, but yeah.
Yeah, I love it. I think it's fun. Yes, it's frustrating and things die, but I think it's worth it for sure. And eventually we will grow all of our own produce, right?
Of course.
Maybe. All right, guys, and the last one is homesteading heals you in more ways than one. I know for a fact just growing my own food did amazing things for my health, but also it's enjoyable to be outside and to be able to work out there. Our
lives have changed a lot. Less stress over the last 5 years. Just kind of a different story.
Yeah, it's like slower, and I just spent the morning in the garden, so it's just quiet, and I was just have my hands in the dirt, and there's something about that lifestyle that a lot of people now are trying to get back to. So those are the top 10 things that they don't usually tell you about homesteading. We lied. We have one more, and it's about goats, because goats. Well, people really think that goats are horrible animals, but they're actually really great animals. They don't have horrible tasting milk. They have great tasting milk, especially when it's fresh. And they can be really, really great milking animals to have that are affordable and easy to maintain.
Oh, definitely better start out for
than a cow.
Than cows, than what else would you start out with?
Llama.
Horses and things like that.
I think people like always envision the homestead being the, having this big family cow and everything, which is totally fine. But if you're starting out, you can stick with goats and really achieve a lot with those little goats. So we've had goats for 8 years now, and we're not planning on getting a cow.
They're just the size of a dog, so it's basically what you should start with, and what everyone in the world uses as goats. If you live in India or China, you don't have a big cow, you have a goat, because that's what is good for your family size.
And so hopefully this makes you feel better as you start to do your own homestead. Maybe you are starting out new, or maybe you already have had a homestead for forever and you can really resonate with what we said. Either way, good luck. We're all in this together.
Have fun.
Like High School Musical.